Have you ever had the feeling that you are utterly and undeniably wrong? Turns out, for our species, that feeling is not uncommon. There have been countless situations throughout human history where the conclusions we've reached is way off base due to lack of understanding of the topic. If people in those situations did not keep an open mind and look for other explanations, we may never figure out the truth. I consider myself to be a person of science. I have a degree in molecular cell and developmental biology from UCSC, and while I learned a lot about biology and the innermost working of cells, I also learned that many of the things they were teaching college students 50 years ago have changed dramatically. It's really common for people to shut off from new information once they've made up their mind on a topic. During this speech, we're going to learn why it is so important to keep an open mind. We'll be discussing an event where open-mindedness was critical, and go over two possible explanations for ghosts, and use this topic that is far from being resolved to think about why it is so important to stay open-minded. Okay, first we're going to explore one of history's greatest examples, the importance of keeping an open mind, especially in the science department. And it might even tickle your funny bone. Pun intended. During the 2nd century, the Greek physician Galen laid down the foundation for anatomy. He was undoubtedly the most accomplished physician and medical researcher for his time, performing surgeries like cataract removal, which wouldn't be reattempted for centuries. And in the medical community, his word was regarded as fact. 1,300 years go by, and Galen's writings on anatomy and physiology are still the primary literature used by medical schools to teach future physicians. Then, a Belgian anatomy professor and physician, Vesalius, thought he'd look into Galen's research a little more closely. Turns out, because of Roman laws at the time, it was illegal to dissect humans. Galen based his work on what he could see on the surface and on pig and primate dissections, but hadn't actually dissected a human to see if he was right. Instead of blindly agreeing with the medical establishment for the past 13 centuries, Vesalius opened his mind to the possibility that Galen might have been wrong. Vesalius then started conducting the first recorded dissections. Lo and behold, found tons of things that didn't comply with Galen's work. Organs and bones were larger or smaller in the wrong place or not even there. In 1543, he published De Humanae Corporis Fabricae, which documented all of Vesalius's findings. It was the first anatomy textbook that reflects what we think of as modern anatomy today. He was also the first professor of anatomy that started using cadaver labs in his classes. Before this, physicians were exclusively learning from Galen's texts and diagrams. If Vesalius hadn't kept an open mind about the possibility that one of the fathers of his field might have been wrong, there could have been a longer delay in medical advancements that were unlocked by Vesalius's work. Now that we've learned why it's important to be open-minded, next we're going to dive into one of the most popular explanations for the paranormal, the multiple dimension model. Then we're going to see what we think. One possible explanation for ghosts is that normally, under the assumption that humans have souls transition from our bodies to another location after we die. However, sometimes something goes wrong and the departing spirit is trapped in another dimension and is unable to reach its final destination. Under this hypothesis, ghost sightings and interactions are these spirits trying to reach out from that dimension into the ones we experience, and that's how we see them. This might be why some ghost sightings seem like the spirits are reaching out for help. This is said to occur when the spirit dies in a particularly sudden or negative way, resulting in high human emotion at the time of death, which also results in the spirit being particularly unwilling to leave its body, increasing the likelihood that it will get lost along the way. Additional dimensions have been hypothesized by physicists. However, they have not been proven. The 4 dimensions we experience day to day are length, depth, height, and time. However, some theories postulate there might be up to 26. If scientists use physics to theorize other dimensions, it is reasonable to conclude that if we do experience a journey from our bodies outward, then maybe something like this is possible. Then again, none of this has been proven. Now that we've gone over one possible explanation, lastly, we're going to go over the most popular non-supernatural explanation for ghost sightings, the false positive. Another explanation for why people see ghosts when they're in locations that they think might be haunted may be caused by misinterpreting non-supernatural events as such because of the negative emotional reactions they have being at these locations. A lot of what we think is reality is due to our brains interpreting our sensory input, and the way in which we process it can be affected by preconceived ideas we have about the situation or environment. This can lead us to believe that a squeaky door frame or banging pipes might be a spirit's failed attempt to communicate with us. Now that we've covered our last explanation for the supernatural, let's review. There have been many times throughout history where a common and widely accepted idea has proven to be false. When someone with a courage and open mind decides to look more into it, just as Vesalius did in the 1500s. Ghosts are a fascinating topic and might be the result of our souls getting trapped in another dimension, or maybe just be our minds playing tricks on us, but neither explanation can be proven outright. There are many topics that, like ghosts, can be very divisive, some of which can play a huge role in our day-to-day lives. If you have made up your mind on a controversial issue, it is really important to at least be open-minded to hearing the other side, or continuing to pursue knowledge on that subject to ensure that your perspective really is the correct one. We don't know the truth behind the paranormal yet, but hopefully in the future some bright-eyed and bushy-tailed paranormal investigator or quantum physicist will be able to figure it out. Today in class, we're going to be hearing from our classmates who might be presenting on topics that we feel we have already made up our minds on. Don't do that to yourself. Don't tune out because you're convinced the lens you view the topic through is the clearest. Because if history teaches us anything, it's probably not. Thank you.